Hello and welcome back to the life and suffering of Sir Brante. 23 years, we continue. The road to the top. Your actions result in well-earned progress up the professional ladder. You are expected to have a glorious future in the field of law. You receive more and more invitations to balls and noble gatherings. High-ranking nobles wish to befriend you. Powerful people have been keeping a close eye on your ascent. Today, a personal letter from the magistrate Remy Elvermont is delivered to your home.
Sir Calamity Brante, I would like to further our acquaintance and discuss certain matters over a glass of Illyrian. I will expect you at my estate this afternoon.
Accompanied by servants, you walk down the imposing enfilade of Elvermont's granite manor. Gold, tapestry, stone carvings of ancestors' profiles. Compared to this luxury, your own home seems tiny and cramped. Elvermont greets you by the fire. At home, the influential ruler of the city seems peaceful and amiable.
Judge Brante, pray come in. I'm delighted to see you again. Servants, pour us some wine. Please have some, Calamity. Though your most recent deeds call for much more than a glass of Illyrian, I'll be frank. After our first encounter, I had my doubts about your trustworthiness, but now you have proven by your actions that you have a future.
You sip the wine. It is excellent, as expected. You calmly reply that you strive to serve the Empire and the Prefecture faithfully, and in the manner you deem proper.
I am overjoyed to see that the younger generation honors our traditions and cares about the fate of our nation. We have that in common, you and I. Many see me as merely power-hungry, but why would power itself be of interest to me? My family is already powerful and wealthy. Its position is secure for many generations to come. No, my friend, I need power to save the city that has been entrusted to me from a grave threat. Take a look around. More and more insurgents are preparing a bloody uprising among the common folk. The new faith compels people to defy their lots. The foundation of the empire has been shaken. What do you think will a new world be born from this? Those who hope to see this happen seem to have forgotten that our world was created in accordance with the twins' design, and we are already on the cusp of provoking their wrath.
Elvermont is becoming truly incensed. Apparently the fate of the Empire is not just a subject of idle chatter for him.
You must understand, Brante. I've seen plenty of starry-eyed idealists yearning to change the world, and I know where those dreams lead. We have trespassed against the sacred order, and now we are on the verge of the wrath of the gods. I am a nobleman and a citizen of the Empire, and it is my duty to save this world from ruin. While the Overseer and the Archduke persist in their futile squabble, the danger is growing. It's time to take matters into your own hands. I'm seeking allies, people who will stand by my side to protect the city and the Empire. I hope you have the courage to become one of us. Let me speak plainly. Prefect Elborn is, alas, among those who are dragging us toward our destruction. He aims to subject all estates to the tyranny of the law. He seems to have forgotten that the law must serve the good of the Empire and be a mainstay of order, but Elborn wishes to disrupt this order. He is pushing for the lowborn to gain power. What do you suppose will be the first thing they do once they get it? They'll take up arms and destroy this country. Elborn has doomed himself to a shameful fall. Meanwhile, the city needs someone at the helm of the prefecture who is bound by honor and concerned about the fate of the Empire. You can be that someone, Brante.
You stare at your glass of wine, trying to hide your feelings.
If you prove yourself worthy in the future, Sir Brante, I can promise you the post of the prefect of Magra. I hope you see it not only as a chance to elevate yourself, but also to make your mark on history. Side with me, and together we'll save Anisot from the uprising. If you remain Elborn's servant, you both will lose and fall together.
Okay, we can either agree. Relations Mayor I haven't made a deal with Mayor Edwin. We can refuse and protect our family. Or we can refuse and protect our career. This is difficult. I don't really want to agree, but At the same time... At the same time, I can't really afford to harm our family's reputation anymore because it's already pretty mediocre and we don't have money. Alright. After some contemplation, you respond that you are willing to be the magistrate's ally. From now on, El Vermont can count on your loyalty. You give him your word as a nobleman.
Splendid. I'm pleased to see I was right about you, Brante. You'll make a marvelous prefect, but we have much work to do before we can accomplish this. To our alliance.
You clink glasses.
I'll see to your promotion, Calamity. If you have any trouble, don't hesitate to contact me. But in order to make you the prefect, we need to know all of Elborn's plans. He trusts your family. I'm sure it will be no trouble at all for you to obtain a better understanding of his affairs and gain access to his personal papers. I'll expect weekly reports from you. Go on with your work, and maintain your position at the appropriate level. Remember that your every move is being watched. I hope you won't tarnish yourself by taking your cue from Elborn, but everything is much simpler once you've chosen your side once and for all, isn't it?
You leave El Vermont's estate. Your carriage slowly drives through the busy streets of Anisot. The sun is shrouded in clouds of dust. A sandstorm is approaching. Oh, we've betrayed him. Well, our career has shot up massively. We've not betrayed him yet, have we? Patronage of the powerful. A deal with El Vermont. Year 1141. The Guns of Illyria. Magra has received alarming news from the neighbouring province of Illyria. The low-born convicts toiling in the Illyrian mines have revolted against the noble masters. For the first time in many long, peaceful years, commoners have taken up arms. Worse yet, the insurgents had guns and gunpowder, and no one knows how they got them. Gunpowder weapons were banned throughout the empire as soon as they were invented. The lords deemed firearms dishonourable and unfit for the nobles. Even legion soldiers are forbidden from using them. But now gunshots were echoing through the mutinous Illyrian mines. The Imperial Legion was deployed to quell the riot. The legionnaires slaughtered the rebels without mercy, and the uprising choked to death on its own blood before it had even begun. The south of Illyria is now a forest of gallows. The convicts' corpses were left swaying in the wind as a warning to any commoner who might dare to take up arms. Although the rebellion quickly succumbed to the Imperial military's onslaught, many Legion soldiers and officers were slain by the insurgents' firearms. Their steel armor was no match for bullets. The rioters' weapons were destroyed in a public ceremony, but no one knows who built or smuggled them into the mines. All Imperial overseers soon issued public reminders in their provinces. The punishment for owning a gunpowder weapon is true death by execution. But the Empire is still restless, still anxious. Somehow guns found their way into commoners' hands, if only for a short time. Could gunpowder and lead one day endanger the old ways of the Empire? Authorities of Magra fear that unrest may soon spill over here. Due to the double tax, peasant farms and industrial manufacturers are facing harsh times. The province's wealth is steadily declining, but the discontent of the commoners is still held back by the eternal lot that demands they accept their suffering. Alright. We're in misery and devastation. Not ideal. A friend in need. You arrive at the office one fine morning and find a visitor already sitting there. The visitor is none other than Tommas. His heavy uniform already bears a captain's chevrons. Tommas looks nervous, his fingers drumming a foreboding staccato on the desk. Why has your old friend decided to pay you a visit? You pat your friend on the shoulder and congratulate him on his promotion. Tommas shrugs, quietly brimming with pride. I got bumped up a month ago. Apparently the Legion is running short on decent officers, and then I realized why there are so few of them. Wish I knew my direct superior was going to be our very own Commander Otton. Tommas grows grim at the mention of Otton.
Listen, buddy, you and me, we always help each other out, right? That Arcanian bastard, well, he challenged me to a duel for the second time. He cut me down a month ago. That was my second lesser death. I know I never told you, but it was tough. The gods, they spoke to me there, in the hereafter. But right now I got something worse to worry about than matters of the soul. See, Otton, he remembers me from the time at the academy where I stood up to him at the party. Now he's gonna kill me again and again until my true death comes. So it's a duel. That's Otton's way of having fun with his subordinates. Calamity, I'm asking you as a friend, will you be my second at the duel? I know Prefect Alborn doesn't like any kind of sword fighting. It's one of the old traditions he wants to put a stop to. But if I show up without a second, he won't just kill me for a third time, he'll dishonor me too.
You knit your brow in thought. In the Prefect's opinion, dueling is a lawless tool of noble tyranny. Alborn sees duels as an outmoded way of circumventing the legal system. He would be crushed to learn that one of his judges had been involved in a duel. Tommas sighs heavily. I know this is hard, pal, but I've got no one else to turn to. All the boys in the Legion fear Otton like the plague. You're the only noble who can support me in this. But I know this duel won't be the end. Our great Sir Otton will find an excuse for a third duel before you know it. That'll be my last one for sure. Tommas rolls up the sleeve of his uniform. 2 pitch black lines encircle his forearm. He is desperate, and it is easy to see why. 1-on-1 against an Arcanian swordsman. He is doomed. The law forbids dueling, but if you refuse to show Tommas your support through your presence, your friend's spirit will be broken before his body can even be killed. You recall all the previous encounters with Otton in your youth. Is there a chance that distinguished Arcanian still remembers you? If you go to him and speak in Tommas's defense, will he even bother to listen? What even defines being Tommas's second? Stop the duel from taking place. We don't have a terrible relation with Dorius Otton, and our manipulation is high enough. We can't decline his request because we're bound by friendship. We're stopping it from taking place. Obviously. You have been best friends with Tommas ever since you were little boys. Does he really think you would abandon him to such a cruel fate? Dueling Otton is suicide, but there is a much better way to emerge from this predicament. You tell Tommas you will meet with Otton and make a deal with him. He will be safe from Otton's harassment. Tommas slowly shakes his head, unconvinced. I'm happy you're so willing to help, buddy, but Otton, he isn't going to listen. Even Arcanians say he's a loose cannon. You're not just another human to him. You're not even a noble of the sword. You tell him Otton will surely remember you, especially since you got his attention on several occasions. Back at the party in Eterna, Otton deigned to hear you out when Tommas first attracted his ire. Surely you can do it again. You can try it, Brante, but I'm gonna prepare for the worst anyway. If Otton wants me dead, he's gonna have me dead sooner or later. Either way, thank you for being on my side. Before you leave to seek an audience with the commander, you ask Tommas for more information. What was Otton's excuse for challenging him to a duel this time? Here's what happened. Otton told me to head to a nearby village with a squad of Legion soldiers. Sulmina, it's called. The villagers refused to pay the Archduke's tax, said they already paid the tax to Gaius Tempest's men. He's the overseer, so the law says the tax is his. So Otton told me and the lads to string up a couple of the rowdiest peasants and put their houses to the torch to teach the rest of them a lesson. So we went there, and let me tell you, buddy, I didn't join the Legion to start hanging people and burning villages, so we decided to have a word with the village elder first. The locals soon realized what was going on. Losing money is one thing, but losing a spare life is worse. They hemmed and hawed and finally found enough cash to pay Archduke Milanidas. Which means we came back to Anizot with nobody dead and all the money for the treasury. But then the commander summons me and claims I didn't follow his order, which means I also slighted the honor of the noble Arcanian who's my commander, so he challenges me to a duel. And you know what? I'm not the first Brante, and I'm not the last. Any officer in the Legion could end up like me. Otton does as he sees fit, with no plans to stop. He's a commander, he's a noble of the sword, he's an Arcanian, with just dirt under his boot. Who's gonna rein him in? His story over, Tommas leaves your office. Wasting no time, you head for the Magra Armory, the headquarters of the province's High Commander. You approach the ancient barracks built of ruddy red stone. Between those walls and the outside world stands a tall fence. The same fence encircles the field nearby. Ever since the old days of the Arcanian Republic, this has been the training ground of the armed militia. It does not take you long to find Otton. He is in a square in front of the armory, inspecting the uniforms of lined up Legion troops, looking intently for faults.
Captain, if I notice that even one of your 100 troops is not in compliance with the uniform code, I will take it as a personal insult. You don't wish to insult my honor, do you, Captain?
The Legion captain in question stands before him. He promises to do his best, his voice shaking. Satisfied, Otton takes a seat and begins reading an essay on military strategy. You seize this opportune moment to approach the commander, tactfully draw his attention, and introduce yourself.
Brante? Oh yes, aren't you the same young man my old servant girl Sophia got mixed up with? I wonder what happened to that little tart. So you grew up to become a prefecture judge, I see. Not much of a step up from a commoner, but I will grant you a bit of my time. What brings you here?
You explain. You are here to petition for Captain Tommas Garrow. He will never reject a duel when his honor is on the line, but Sir Otton must surely realize that the duel will not be an even one. Would the esteemed High Commander of Magra be kind enough to choose a different officer for his exercise? Surely a swordmaster such as the esteemed Sir Otton can find no shortage of clumsy, low-born soldiers to duel.
You think I don't know what I want, Brante? You think I can't decide for myself? That son of a whore Garrow had the nerve to disobey my orders. He insulted me, and I will not allow such a stain upon the honor of my family. You think your pitiful excuses will change this?
You humbly asked the commander to show mercy to a man who was but a commoner a few years before.
Show mercy, you say? Well then, I agree, but only on one condition. He must quit my legion immediately. I will strip him of his captain's rank and pay, and then he will leave and never show himself again, or that will be his final insult. If your pitiful friend is willing to throw away a noble title and end his days in poverty, then I have no desire to fight him. No Arcanian would ever duel such lowly filth. Tell him to bring me his letter of resignation in person. Remember this, I granted you my time only because of all the pleasant memories of my Sophia. Do not expect me to hear your grovelling again in the future. You and your family ought to consider whether scum such as Garrow is worth your trouble.
It's time to break the news to Tommas. He looks very conflicted when he learns of the deal you have struck with Otton.
Really? Otton agreed to let me leave the Legion? I can't believe he even bothered to hear you out. Does that mean I'm finally free from his harassment? Thank you, my friend. You've saved me from true death. But if I leave the Legion, what will I do then? That's the most humiliating thing there is. All the work I put into joining the military would be wasted. I'd have no job, no pay, and I'd never be a nobleman again. I have to think about this, but one way or another you've bought me some time, and I still have 2 lives left, all thanks to you, buddy. Okay, this is not ideal, but we'll see if we can, Oh, he's in hiding. We'll see if you can fix that next time. The case against Otton. Well, there's our chance to fix it. The day after your meeting with Tommas, time slows to a crawl. As you examine one case after another, you cannot help but think back to your friend and his fate again and again. There is a knock at the door. Excuse me. Baron Elborn, the prefect, has decided to pay you a visit. I have a matter to discuss with you, Brante. Would you mind if we take a walk? It's getting a bit stuffy in here.
The prefect clearly wants to discuss something in private. You walk down the stairs together and leave the prefecture. Soon, the two of you are walking down the noisy streets of the Brass district. The wind is strong today, the grey sky mercifully overcast. The people around you are bartering, buying and selling eagerly. The streets are full of craftsmen and factory workers. Merchant carts squeak as they roll down the streets. The head of the prefecture looks more worried than usual, lost in thought as he observes the bustling street life around him.
Brante, do you recall how we talked about the tyranny of the nobility in the province? Darius Otton, the High Commander of Magra, is on a murderous spree. He challenges his subordinates to a duel for the slightest infraction and slaughters them with impunity. If our law is unable to protect anyone from the violent tyranny of the Arcanians, who will ever respect the law? It's time we put an end to this. As long as I'm in charge of the prefecture, establishing the rule of law over people of all estates and titles is our most important task. But people like Otton stand in our way. People who think themselves above the law. We need to prove them wrong. I have been informed that Otton has pressured your childhood friend, Captain Tommas Garrow, into a duel. and I believe Sir Garrow has sought your assistance in private, am I right?
You admit that it is so. Indeed, as an old friend, Tommas is counting on you to defend him.
And so, young Brante, I believe that to be reason enough to entrust this case to you officially. If you find yourself doubting your abilities, know that you are my best candidate. No other judge would have the courage to prosecute an Arcanian and I trust you more than any ordinary judge. I spoke to your father, but even he would not accept this undertaking. He says your family has worked too hard to be ennobled by the sword to risk it all now. But you bear no such burden, do you? As it stands right now, sentencing an Arcanian to even the smallest punishment is unthinkable, but drop by drop water can wear down any stone. We will make our way to Otton, but we must do it slowly and carefully. What we need is a perfectly prepared case. We need you to find enough incontrovertible evidence and enough witnesses who are willing to testify in court. But I'm sure you realize that even this won't be enough to force an Arcanian to go to trial, don't you, Calamity? We have to change the unspoken rules in our city and province. We'll start with lower-ranking people, lower-ranking cases, and little by little we'll establish rules that even highborn nobles will have to obey.
All of a sudden, Elborn stops. Standing in the middle of a street bustling with life, he points out a number of commoners hurrying about their business.
Just look, all these people need to know that there is such a thing as justice. The law must apply to them all, no matter their lot, whether suffering, praying, or ruling. They need to know they can rely on us judges to enforce the law against anyone and everyone. I'm counting on you in this, Sir Brante.
You stand motionless as Elborn studies you intently. From now on, from this moment forth, you will prosecute a case against the High Commander of Magra, a highborn Arcanian from an ancient dynasty. This is a pivotal moment in your destiny and your career. You could rise higher than ever, or plunge into obscurity and ruin. You decide to talk about Tommas and his fate. Right now he represents your best chance at getting Otton indicted, but there is absolutely no guarantee he will live to speak at trial. If you are to oversee this case, ensuring his safety has to be the first thing you do.
You're right, Brante. We need Tommas Garrow to see this to the end, but remember this is about more than just your friend and his fate. This is a matter of law and justice for the entire province. The peril to Sir Tommas's life is great indeed, but if you openly defy the High Commander right now, your standing will suffer accordingly. You could find a safe shelter for Sir Tommas away from Otton, but if Tommas remains in the city, he might be of use when you begin looking for Otton's other victims. I realize you're looking for a way to rescue your friend, but right now we must all use caution, lest our entire cause suffer. What say you, Calamity? What is your plan?
I could have him taken into custody. I could convince Tommas to leave the Legion, but I would need to give him money. I can't send him to any Zod. Okay, because we've technically broken our promise, even though we haven't actually yet, because Elborn doesn't know that. We're not convincing him to leave the Legion because we need our wealth. The question is, it's 4 now. Does that decrease our relation with Elborn, or does it increase it? Whatever, we're imprisoning him, sure. You inform Elborn that you have a plan to protect Tommas, but the prefect need not know the details. It will be safer for everyone this way.
That it will, Brante. You are the only one who will truly know how to help your friend. Proceed then. My only request is that you remain within the law at all times.
You assure the prefect that the law will not be broken. On the contrary, it will be enforced with prejudice.
I will leave that to your conscience then. We should get back to work. Begin preparing the case at once.
Back at the office, you send a note to Tommas's address, a brief request to visit you at the prefecture as soon as possible. He returns to your office that evening. You have not seen him for just 1 day, but he looks a decade older. It pains you to see him so downcast. But you have news. Otton is well on his way toward being punished for his crimes. You're building a case against the High Commander of Magra, and Tommas absolutely has to participate in the trial as the main witness and tell the whole truth about the lawless tyranny of the haughty Arcanian. Upon hearing these words, Tommas stands tall again. You spy a wicked spark in his eyes, a glimmer familiar from the years when you both were young. My oh my, the Brante boy next door wants to put an Arctian behind bars. Count me in, buddy. I'll bear witness alright, and I'm gonna have myself a good rant about that highborn bastard. You ask your friend to pace himself for now. First of all, Tommas needs protection against Otton's harassment, and you have a plan for that. You will start building a case of illegal dueling, but introduce the facts in a different way. It will look like Tommas was the one who initiated the duel, and you will personally sentence him to a term in prison and temporary revocation of the sword. This way Otton will be unable to reach Tommas or challenge him again. You want to put me in jail? Isn't that too much? How's that going to affect my standing in the Legion? But my only alternative is dueling Otton again. Okay, do what you must. I'll put my trust in you, even if it means spending some time behind bars. It shouldn't be any worse than our barracks. That settled, you write an order to imprison Captain Tommas Garrow for inciting a duel with his superior Sir Doris Otton. All that is left now is to summon the gendarmes and have them seize Tommas's sword and take him to prison. You calmly watch your friend being put in shackles. He manages a sly wink before being led out of your office. Now Captain Garrow should be locked in a dark cell and kept safe and sound by the prefecture. Not even an Arctian High Commander has the power to get to him there. But your gambit does not go unnoticed. One of the judges at the prefecture learns about your order and starts spreading rumors among the other nobles, claiming you besmirched the good name of Sir Doris Otton. What? How? After all, you have created a written record of Otton being challenged to a duel by one of his own captains, a considerable mark of shame for an Arctian High Commander. Oh, okay. The nobles are talking about it now. This will surely attract Otton's unwanted attention to the case and make your work as a judge more difficult. He's actually in hiding now. My reputation? Well, the reputation of our family goes down. But we're a bit more scheming. That's good. Otton's case. What's up next? Year 1141. The procession to the tree. A holy day is coming, a day when the entire empire thanks the twins for the silver tree, the sign they left behind as a reminder of their eternal presence in this world. This momentous occasion is especially important for any Zot, but the clergy cannot agree on how best to celebrate it. Father Leonard has called for all worshippers of the twins to approach the temple of the silver tree and kneel before the sacred relic, but the old clergy balks at the idea of Leonard and the new believers leading the ritual. The day has come. An immense crowd is moving in a procession toward the temple near the silver tree where Father Leonard awaits. But an inquisitor by the name of Jean stands in their way. She strikes a defiant pose. Confronted by a member of the Holy Order of the Inquisition, the procession reluctantly stops. People, turn back. Those who attend Leonard's rite will succumb to the new fate. Those who reject the lots will defy their divine design. You're about to bring the wrath of the gods down upon us all. Open your eyes, go back to your homes and pray to the twins. The procession wants to move, but the people are confused, until Father Leonard himself walks out of the temple to meet Jean face to face. John. It's definitely John.
People of any sort, no one has the right to deny you the sacred ritual of worshipping at the tree. Not even the Inquisition. Is such a denial not more likely to provoke the wrath of the twins? The Inquisition must know that the new faith does not seek to challenge the defied twins. We are merely trying to correct the mistakes of those who came before us. We do not anger the twins, we merely vex those who refuse to accept the dawn of a new age.
Jeanne finds herself between a rock and a hard place. Seeing that she has no other choice, she lets the procession pass. The new faith's numbers have swelled of late. It cannot be stopped now. Church is going more into a schism. Well, back into a schism. Festival of the Silver Tree. Today is an important holiday. The entire empire is celebrating the Festival of the Silver Tree, which commemorates the parting gift of the twin gods, the divine sapling they planted in our mortal world, in the middle of any Zot. The families of the city spend the day in peace and quiet, contemplating the divine roots that join together all people, their bloodlines, and the entire empire. Mother always oversees this holiday. The day before the festival, she seemed to have shaken off her usual apathy and engaged in the preparations with excitement. It was as though her illness has loosened its grip. Mother gathers the entire family for the holiday meal. Father is in high spirits today, sharing jokes with you and Nathan. Stefan is trying to suppress an atypical agitation. Gloria is the last to join you at the table. She is wearing new breeches with high stockings and a yellow vest.
Gloria, you're wearing men's clothes again. No, Mother, I'm wearing clothes women are forbidden to wear.
Father gives Gloria a stern look. Stefan rolls his eyes but says nothing. Suddenly Nathan speaks up.
A few days ago in the market, I saw a grocer dressed as Overseer Gaius Tempest. He had a huge carrot for a scepter. He got a sound drubbing, of course, but until then it was quite a hoot.
Everybody laughs at the ridiculous story, relieved. Even Gloria has a smile on her face when she sits down. The feast commences. Your home family feels warm for a moment.
It wasn't so long ago the four of you couldn't ever reach up to this table. The first word you said, Gloria, was gimme. Nathan used to cling to my skirt all the time, almost tearing it, and you, Calamity, you couldn't talk at all yet, but your piercing stare was so expressive, it felt as if you were talking to me.
Mother looks at Stefan and suddenly grows quiet.
When I met Stefan, he was already 3 years old. He was so serious and a smooth talker to boot. I remember that he had a music teacher, but he was too shy to play in front of me, so I used to listen from the next room.
Stefan's face twitches. Your elder brother rises and moves to the old harpsichord. His fingers fly gracefully over the keys. A melody fills the house, melancholy and sweet. The last note lingers in the air. Then silence falls. The family is awestruck. Words fail you all.
Who wrote that? A nobleman from the capital between drinking a glass of wine and beating a servant?
Your sister's cutting remark puts an end to the warm, cozy atmosphere. Stefan calmly turns to face her. No, it was I who composed this piece of music. It is called Mother. Mother rises to her feet. She would have needed help to do this just recently, but now she treads unassisted towards Stefan and draws him close. Stefan puts his arms around his stepmother's waist, then detaches himself awkwardly. May the twin gods bless you, Lydia. Gloria considers this scene with thinly veiled fury in her eyes.
Of course, highborn nobles like Stefan are made for the arts. They're the only ones lucky enough to have a soul and experience inspiration. Unlike us, the lowborn, we aren't supposed to feel anything but suffering, let alone express it in poetry.
Okay, Gloria, this time it's your fault. This time Stefan didn't do anything bad. Everyone notices that Gloria is clutching pages filled with writing, her poems. Your sister casts a mournful glaze at the family and her eyes rest on you. Gloria has to... What are our current states? 2 plus 2 plus 1, 0. Sorry, Gloria. Not today. Gloria is about to continue, but you intervene. Gloria will not recite her poetry. How many times do you have to reiterate that your sister may not violate the commoner's lot? Yes, you understand that she is dissatisfied with it, but there are other things to think of here, things such as public order, or the reputation and safety of this family. You can't just live as though none of these things existed. Your reprimand takes Gloria by surprise. She flushes red with fury and clasps the pages to her chest.
So you're of the same mind as Stefan, Calamity. I'm not allowed to bear your name, but I still have to bear all the responsibilities that come with it. What hypocrisy.
Don't say things you'll regret. Everyone, calm down, please. Gloria runs out of the room, outraged and tearful. The family freezes in place, dumbfounded.
I don't feel so well. Nathan, son, please help me to my room.
Mother leaves the room, leaning on Nathan's arm. The celebration is cut short. I will defend Gloria if Stefan is having a go at her. This time, Stefan did nothing wrong. She was out of line. Oh, even less unity. That's great. But I think that probably wouldn't have been any different if I had gone for a different choice. A rendezvous with Octavia. Octavia and you do not see each other very often. Sometimes there are days whereon you forget about your unusual liaison, but then the Archduke's daughter bursts into your life and you abandon yourselves to passion until she disappears again. Today Octavia is waiting for you at her summer home in the city. It is a cozy little villa, well concealed from prying eyes by a high fence. Beyond the fence is a glorious garden. You have never seen one so beautiful in Magra. Octavia meets you on the veranda. She's wearing a light white frock that leaves her shoulders exposed. Her black hair cascades down her back. You bow to Lady Milanidas. She grins and draws you toward her so that you sit down by her side. The sun is melting beyond the horizon. Octavia commands her servants to leave you alone. Tonight she is strangely pensive, barely touching her food and drink. You cautiously inquire if anything is amiss.
Listen to me, Calamity. I'm at a crossroads. My father, the Archduke, is planning to send me out of Magra for a while. Apparently, in his opinion, my escapades are bound to cause trouble for our family.
Octavia stands up, towering above you. Her eyes burn with a menacing flame.
I'm a daughter of the great family of Milanidas, an Archean born at the peak of the world. All shall tremble before me. Isn't that so, Calamity Brante?
But before you can reply, Octavia abruptly lowers her head downhearted.
I'm not free. Just like you, my dear human Brante, I have a duty to my family, to my blood tide, to the Empire. My whole life, all I've ever done is fulfill obligations created by others. I have no aspirations. Everything is preordained. What the world is like, how I ought to live, what my father doesn't decide for me, those two up on the peak of the shining pillar already have. I'm looking for a way out of this cage. It must exist. I study history, but all I find are tidbits of lost knowledge. But I believe that I'm not the first to try to escape the chains of this world. What am I to do, Calamity? You yearn to break free of the fetters of fate just as I do. You have escaped the commoner's lot and joined the higher estate. But your new lot is just as much of a prison, isn't it? Could it really be that none of us will ever be free?
Octavia looks into your eyes dolefully. You have never seen her so helpless before.
We could ask for assistance if she was my patron. We can lose ourselves in pleasure. We can inquire about this arcane knowledge. Or we can share our revelation. You know what? Go on.
You put your hand on Octavia's shoulder and gesture to the blazing line of the shining pillar in the sky. Flashes of your childhood experience come back to you. What you felt then was the truth. It came to you from the heavens and poured straight into your soul. It needs neither proof nor prayer, and you share your truth with your beloved. Your existence is a gift from the twin gods, your creations of their will. Yes, all people who live in this world lack freedom, if only because they were put into existence by the will of another. But this is also the most beautiful thing that could possibly exist. You are a part of the god's design, so no one is ever lonely, lost, or empty. Yes, you comply with that design, but the design is a pure embodiment of the god's love for you. You have experienced it, you know it, because it is so. Octavia sneers and moves away from you.
The way you describe it, this love of theirs is nothing but a violation, and we're supposed to not just submit, but rejoice?
You protest that it is a violation only if you fight it, if you struggle. But why struggle? The twin gods used their design to let you into their world, to allow you to live in it, to think, feel, and understand. This in itself is a blessing. Any other world would have barriers of its own, so why not accept these? Octavia looks at the shining pillar thoughtfully.
There is something to what you say, but you experienced this revelation firsthand and I didn't. And to me it all appears to be submission, as though I were a puny commoner at the feet of my master. Must I, Octavia Milanidas, submit and endure? No, I'll find another way. Anyway, that's enough theology for today. Put your arms around me, Calamity. I want to savor what I have now.
Okay, our willpower has gone up, very good, and we've become more eloquent, which is also very helpful. Alright, year 1142. That will be the end of this episode of the life and suffering of Sir Brante. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again next time. Bye.